What's up, St. Louis? What's up, world? What's up, football world? It's your boy Musa, Jeremy, Top Corner Talk, another therapy session. Yes, St. Louis fell to Minnesota United 2-1. Very interesting because there was three PKs. But before we get to those beautiful goals that typically do not happen, how are you doing, Jeremy? Don't cry.
It's been another it's a Monday. We made it through Monday. That's the win. City 2 got a win, now unbeaten in 10, so they're closing in on the record. So we've got that happy bit. Charlie will have a lot more on that tomorrow night on City 2 Talk around 7 o'clock right here on the channel. But as far as City goes, disappointed, especially with the way we started, dominating probably the first 30 minutes before Minnesota even had a shot. So that's a gut punch, another loss for City, and you thought they had a shot at the playoffs somehow, some way. Just one more step in the other direction, Mo.
Absolutely. And before we get to that nice 30 minutes of our life, which of course it played on the other side of the field where I didn't get to see as much as I wanted to. But first, let's go ahead and go and talk about the lineup. It was much different. And some players were not even on the roster itself. So looks like, Jeremy, you have it with you. So
I will pull it back up here in just a second. After it was announced, I threw the graphic up on Twitter, and I'll toss that up for you here in just a moment or two. So give me just a second to do that. But Mo, it was a very different lineup. You know what? It was good to see as well because of the way that Lutz talked at the weekend, right? So after the last loss, and I did throw it up in the queue there if you want to share that. So this was the starting lineup that we had. I apologize, it may be a little small, so I'll try to zoom in. So after they announced the lineup, this is the way the team lined up. Berkey in goal. The two new Minnesota guys in the starting lineup in Devin Padelford and Sang-Bin Jong. They stepped in their respective natural positions at right wing for Sang-Bin and Padelford at left back. The other big change was Haziel Orozco steps in at center back. I think he was actually on the left with Baumgartel on the right, so my image is a little bit inverse. But this was the lineup, and it was different. Also, Conrad Vollum at a right back position. And actually, I realized Vollum is in there twice. I never updated that. So that was actually Ostrak, not Vollum twice. So that's on me. But in any event, folks, it was an interesting lineup that was very, very different to start the team. And Mo, how do you think that they did?
Yeah, and so I think especially just looking at the starting lineup too. And it looks like we have Will Ferrell in the chat as well, and he said he can be coach as well. and I remember from that movie. It's funny. So I think for the starting lineup, the most interesting part was Wallim. So in Orozco as well. So what was your thought when you saw that?
I was extremely excited. So the projected lineup that I had, I called for Sang-Bin to start. I wanted him to step right in. I actually had wanted to see Jean de Silva instead of Celio. I didn't know how he was going to be. I wasn't mad at it, though. I will tell you, I didn't know how Vollum would be at right back. He hadn't played there yet. Was pleasantly surprised by his performance. Orozco was solid for about 80 minutes of the game. In the first half, Padelford was fantastic. Pompeu was good, and we had a midfield. That double pivot of of Ostrak and Leuven, that worked really, really well. Leuven really playing as that deeper six with spraying balls all over the field, including what was nearly a fantastic assist for Sang-Bin somewhere in the first 25 minutes of the game. But I was really happy with the lineup. I was glad to see we made changes, that it just wasn't a lot of lip service from Critchley or from Lutz after they kind of both lambasted the team and went after them after the lack of effort in Dallas. So I was glad to see the changes. I thought the new guys played well.
Definitely say that the two new guys were kind of the highlight of we'll say the first 30 minutes or so. I think Devin was, I think for me, was probably the biggest one. Because there was still all that discussion of why not the left back, why this and that. And it looks like he kind of brought in his his MLS experience, and he had some of that like chippiness that we've been talking a lot about. So it was like one of those highlights where maybe we were like, you know what? I think maybe that's what Lutz and all that saw, that maybe for the progression of those 6 months, or maybe something else that comes later, but at least kind of showed us maybe what we should be expecting from him.
Yeah.
But yes, I know it's just one game, but at least it's kind of give us maybe a look into what maybe that guy we need to.
Yeah, no. So I agree with you. I agree that I think it did show why Pitt Elford stepped in. I think it did make sense, because I think it, to me, it gives the club a chance to really evaluate Haziel at his natural position, because he was a center back. That's why what we signed him is he can play left back, sure, but he was Haziel's a center back by trade, so it makes sense to give us the chance to evaluate him in that position. Let Pitt Elford step in. And by the way, the other piece of his game that I really liked, those long throw-ins. We didn't really see or have a guy that's been effective at those long throw-ins like that. And Pitt Elford delivered 2 or 3 in the first half. That ultimately, they didn't get goals, but they won us corners. Yes. So, it was a big factor to me to helping us retain pressure in the offensive half.
All right, so just go letting. All right, it looks like we have Oscar too, but yes, and I think probably the one of the nice takeaways as well. Oscar, I think that's the one that I was a little bit of surprised when I saw him as center back. But also I think the first 30 minutes or so were great, but now as we were progressing, you saw we came like a bull in the China cabinet, for the first 30 minutes or so. So was that a definition of what we saw as the game progressed, and that's when Minnesota started to get a lot of their confidence? Or was that more of a tiredness from our players? Hello, Oscar.
Hey, Oscar, how you doing, sir? Nope.
I'm good. I'm on watch along right now.
Wow, double duty watch along / podcast.
Right. Yeah, Colombia is playing, the female side is playing the semifinal of the Copa America. 3rd PKs, 3 in. Argentina 2 PKs, 2 in. So they're still in it. But yeah, I mean, you guys are just like reflecting a little bit about the game.
Yes, sir. Yes. How was the first half or
first half?
Minutes? Yes.
I mean, the first half was, I would say, like a solid half. It seemed like the team had an idea of how to press Minnesota. Not that Minnesota was giving up too much of offensive side, but it was just of possession, find the gaps. There was a good structure. I think it was balanced, because Paddleford was giving something else that other left backs haven't done. And Wallem playing on the right was also something different. And something that, like I said, I've said it before, that Wallem on the right, even if it was in the right wing, was one of the best moments that he have had in this season. So it was good attacking. Obviously, we were not extremely offensive. We were not creating tons of chances or like tons of like really clear chances, but at least we were not suffering, and we were kind of like in control of the game.
Yeah, and so I think the biggest thing for me when it came to Pitt Elford and Vollem, so I will credit Critch, because he mentioned it in the post game. He had them inverting and pushing in when we were kind of in the offensive half, which helped us cut out those outlet lanes for Minnesota to try to press out and counter press us to push forward in that first half. It was really effective. It did help us cycle the ball around. It helped Pompeu and Song Bin try to stay wide and exploit those wide areas, because it looked like, Minnesota, they stay true to who they are in many ways. They are a team that doesn't really do a lot to press all the time. They are the lowest possession team in the MLS, right below us, strangely enough. So they let us have the ball. They play that kind of low block, and we struggled to break it down. But we were trying to, it seemed, break it down through the width, because with that I guess it was a 5-4-1 they played, it looked like there just wasn't a lot of room in between for Klaus to make runs.
Yeah, and I think probably the one that kind of stood out a little bit for me, unfortunately, and I don't know if what's been going on, but is Celio's dribbling a little bit off these days? Because it looks like maybe he's not taking on players, but it's not as like explosive as we're used to. Because I don't think he completed that many dribble in the first half.
Didn't get ice cream. You didn't take a bowl with you.
So what's interesting is if you look at like the passing map, which I don't have up, unfortunately, like we were actually pretty balanced in terms of building up on the left and right. I'm going to see if I can track down some individual stats for you on Celio. You wanted to know about the first half specifically, Mo. In the first half, your successful dribbles for City, the only player that that was 100% was Ostrak at 1 for 1. Celio had 1 of 3 successful dribbles, and none of his shots were on target, which, that's also one thing that Volum did very well too. He had a couple really nice balls he served in, including the one to Pompeu on the back post that he put into the side netting.
Yeah, so I think it kind of sounds good now knowing that, left and right. So the kind of the progression on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like same thing. Maybe that's where he will come into play a lot more now that we know, we're covered left and right versus everything being on the left side of the field, like the last graph that we saw from last game. So that was refreshing. And I'm wondering maybe that's why the offense in the first 30 minutes was so good, because Minnesota had to make sure that they covered both sides. And that's where, had a little bit more of that opportunities. But it looks like from what you mentioned, the finishing is the biggest problem, because we can do all the progression on towards the goal. But if we cannot even have a shot on goal, that's a whole nother discussion.
I think we're still missing the ways to get clear options.
Right.
Because I don't think we had like very clear options to score. We don't leave our attackers one-on-one situations. We give him open spaces that they can take a shot, but it's not an easy shot. Like, for example, this Sambing shot. It was a great shot. He did a lot for what we had.
Right.
But it was not easy to do. It was not easy to score. It was a tough angle. Had a man on him. So those are the issues that we still have. We do not let a one-on-one situations with the goalkeeper, or just like take one defender out and then we can have a shot on goal. It's very difficult. The moments that we have chances, they're very difficult to score.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think to your point, Oscar,
¡Vamos! A la final, Colombia.
That's what happened to watch along.
Is that the win, or is that just?
Yeah. Yep.
There, vamos. There we go.
To the final. Let's go.
There we go. So there's a win. So we get a win. So City 2 win and a Colombia win in the women's Copa. So a couple wins for the show. No, to your point. Yeah, I don't know what I think the thing that was frustrating to me, because if you looked at that game or rewatched it, so I felt like we were really good we dominated the first 30. We scored. We dropped a little bit. But even in the second half, we had at least 2, maybe 3 really good counterattacks where we just couldn't play the right pass. One was from Celio to Song Bin. One was from Song Bin where he was trying to get it to Klaus, but he overhit it, and Klaus had to run out wide, and it killed the momentum. And then there was another one where I don't remember. It might have been Twykert looking for Betcher or something along those lines after the subs. There were opportunities to put that game away. We're just missing that little bit of lethalness in the final third, and it hurt. It even hurt us in the first half because Klaus's header cleared off the line by Boxall. That goes in. That game is completely different too. So we're missing just that killer instinct.
So
it was.
I mean,
yeah.
It gives momentum, but at the same time, like, I mean, it was before the PK. There was one chance from Klaus that he was in the top of the box. He gets that like a quick turn and shot, and Sinclair gets like a really good hand in it and saves it out wide. So that one would have probably changed because we were up 1-0. We got the 2-0, and it probably makes a different story. With the way that we play in the second half and how we give leads. Still not a secure game, but would have given us a little bit more chances. But if we move up to the second half, unless you have something else to say for the first half, Mo or Jeremy.
No, I think for me that was pretty much looking at that starting 11. It most likely the one that we probably will see going on unless something off goes. I think I was pretty satisfied with the starting 11. I think the only problem that you mentioned is that after scoring that first goal, you kind of feel the dynamic of the team changes versus, oh, we got one, so now it's time to add another one, versus, oh, we have one, so now let's try not to concede a goal. And then what
everybody's afraid. I mean, the team, I think, it always gets in that mentality right now. We're not strong mentally wise, so every time you get something well going, like they always hesitate of keep going, and just more of the hesitation. We don't want to mess up and get a score on.
Yeah, and I think before closing out that first half too is the other thing that I keep seeing still is Klaus running all over God's green earth from offense to midfield to defense. I'm still trying to catch where is he trying to do too much or is it what he's tasked to do? But I'm still finding that kind of hard because especially, when you had that high pressure from the very beginning, you almost shouldn't need to have Klaus try to play in defense in the midfield. You should kind of keep him up so he gets those one-on-one opportunities like you mentioned. Because it's kind of hard to see those because we only saw those one-on-one during the second half that we were going to discuss. But that was a different player that had those opportunities. And if Klaus had those opportunities, I'm pretty sure that those would have become goals.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think to your point with the mentality dropping, you guys aren't Lutz talked about it on KMOX, saying that they were too passive, that they played scared after they took the goal. Even today, Critchley talked about it. He said basically it's to the point where we can go up. We have to get to the point where we can go up a goal. And how do we create behaviors where we don't allow the momentum to shift right onto the opposition's favor? Because that's what he said. He's basically said we go up and then we drop for some reason, and it doesn't make sense. I mean, how do you fix that? And we'll get to this later. Do we think that having a non-pressure game, as Critchley called it today with the friendly midweek, helps this?
I think for me, how that mentality changes is when you starting to get goals that you're not supposed to get. It's get a little bit of luck, right? When it's a deflection or you take a crazy shot and then it goes on goal. That one thing that sparked that, oh, maybe our luck has changed.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of these now that we see is like, oh, here we go again. And then that's where the other teams, whoever they are, because we've, I think, lost 18 points or so taking the lead, where they're like, hey, they've taken the leads, but we're still not scared of them because based on their stats, they're most likely going to give us a goal back.
Yeah. Well, and even in the first half, like the thing that's crazy to me about the first half, we held Minnesota to 0.03 expected goals. They had one shot. It was not a very high quality opportunity. Berkey saved it somewhat easily. So it's just, I don't know if it was the halftime subs where they brought on Longwane and Robin Lod, but something else changed at the half. And then we can get into that because that's that. But even after that, I don't know. We'll get into it. But those subs did make a difference for Minnesota too.
Yep, that's good to have a deep bench. But all right, so second half, Oscar, take away from that one because I'm sure this is going to be a very different discussion now.
Well, it seemed like it didn't start different. It seemed like we were still kind of like trying to play with the ball, like trying to be offensive. But again, it goes to the point that which teams are letting City play with the ball and which ones are not. And obviously, Minnesota is the type of team that lets the other team play with the ball and try to get counters. So that was kind of like the situation here where we were still getting the ball but not getting deep anymore and not creating chances. But for me, everything goes south when we just make the subs. And I mean, it's obvious that it went south when we made the subs. Not for the reason of which pieces were coming in and which pieces were coming out. It's just kind of like, where did you put those pieces and why? That's like a big question mark. Because if you look at on our bench, you had a natural center back.
Yep.
Right? Why, if you refresh in a center back, why you put in a player that is not a center back in a center back position to expose something? Because yes, they made a mistake. Both center backs made a mistake in that play, specifically for the first penalty kick. But you have a good backline that is working well the entire first half, and you make a change for a change that has probably not been working together as much as this time center back did, because you probably work the entire week on practice with Orozco and Timo because that's what you wanted to have. Yep. Right? And then you go and put Durkin in for no reason because none of them were struggling. So that's I don't get.
So I agree. So that was the first sub. So the two subs that first came on was Betcher for Song Bin, and Durkin stepped in for, who was it that he came in for Pat Elford. So they took Pat Elford. Yes, they took. I'm assuming Song Bin comes off because his work rate, and I think they said Devin Pat Elford was cramping, but. So the change was what? Durkin at center back, Pat Elford, and then Orozco shifts out to the left. I was talking to folks in the supporter section, and I think the first person that asked me, Kayla said to me, "How do we feel about Durkin?" And I'm like, I don't love it. He was on the field for 9 minutes or so, and Critchley was asked the very last question of the press conference from Tom Timmerman was asking for an explanation on the sub. I'm going to share what he said, and I'm going to tell you before I even say it, I don't buy it, and then I'll tell you why. So he said, we brought in Critch said, quote, we brought in Chris in the moments a couple of times. in them positions. He's done pretty well. We felt like in the game at that moment, we needed more of a ball player in there because they were going to be consistently sitting in that mid to low block. So for him, it was a system sub. I'm calling bull. Here's why. Your other center back is Timo Baumgartel. He's a ball-playing center back. You don't need two ball-playing center backs in that moment. You need a center back. You have JGR and Hebert on your bench who are center backs. That's who you bring in that moment. I understand there's a desire to probably get Chris game minutes, but why do you just not bring him in the midfield when you take Leuven off? I don't understand the subs.
This is a big thing that I used to criticize Cornell, that he used to change the back line every single game. He will get a center back out. He'll move the one center back to the left, bring someone in. For the structure of the teams, you want to keep your center backs as long as they can play, and they're your base. They're your base on your defense. So why do you want to change your center backs? I never understand why people want to change the center backs unless they're hurt. But in this case, none of them were. Because Orozco played the 90 minutes and Timo played the 90 minutes. So there were so many ways to make that change for Durkin and not move you two center backs, that they were doing a good job, if not a great job. Because I don't think they had shots. Because think about it. You leave him there. You need one on the left, someone on the left. You can either put, I don't remember if Reed was in the bench or not, but
no,
if you didn't have Reed, you have Wallen playing, move him to the left, bring Totlin in, right? And then you put Durkin somewhere else. If that's what you wanted to do, because Paddle 4 got hurt. So you gotta find that person that is gonna cover that spot.
Well, Hebert can play left back. No, Hebert can play center back too. So again, and by the way, who was the next sub that they came in after the red? It was JGR. I don't understand why he wasn't the first one. If he's coming in to clean up the shit mess, why the hell is he not the first guy off the bench? I don't understand it.
They were probably not planning to have him. Haven't given minutes for this game because you know how they control the load of minutes, and they always have to rotate the lineup and whatever reasons. But they had him for an emergency, and here they happened an emergency because you created that emergency.
Yep. And real quick, so Oscar, this is the perfect lead into the question I told you both in WhatsApp earlier that I had for you tonight. So we know. So in 2024. St. Louis City played 20 different pairings in their back line. In 2025, how many different pairings have we had, do you think? How many different back lines have we played this season alone so far through 24 games?
5.
Nope. It's higher than that.
How many pairs of center backs, or
how many different back lines? So back whether it's a 5 or a 4, how many different back lines have we had in front of Bertie?
What, 35?
We've had 24 games.
Talking
to start a game.
21 different formations.
That's more. No, that's higher. So we had 20 in 2024. This season we've had 13 different combinations of players. And I got to give a shout out to Stu Holtgren from Flyover Footy that he pulled that stat earlier when I was talking to him in a separate conversation for me. So shout out to Stu for that. But yeah, 13 different lineups in front of Roman Berkey, whether it was a back 5 under Olaf or now a back 4 under Critch. There has been so little stability there. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, that definitely does not help, because the synergy does not work if you make that many changes. And I think the question is what is the best defense? Because at this moment, is it the lack of trust, or do we not have the right center back connection? And maybe that's what Falou is here to do. Because now it will be Timo and Falou as two tall, athletic center backs, or is it just not trusting the team? And I think for me, one of the craziest thing as we see it as well too is that you know how we play soccer is being played now. The center backs are being asked to do so much now these days that, like Oscar said, right, they cannot just constantly play 90 minutes because they're doing so much more than what they used to do, which make sure that there's no shots on goal, clear the ball, and maybe one or two run, up. But now they're getting a lot more of the possession passes, and a lot of the build-up starts with the center backs. Maybe.
Do you really think? I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think Baumgartel is athletic enough? I mean, maybe I'm just being overly harsh. He's made big mistakes in the last two games. He lost Musa against Dallas, and in this game, that for the passage of play that led up to the red for Durkin, somehow both Durkin and Baumgartel. I mean, Baumgartel's behind Yeboah there, so I maybe it's not it's harsh to put it on Baumgartel, but he's involved in that play somehow. You think he could do more to disrupt that ball, and maybe Durkin's reaction should have been better too.
And I think from the center back position part, I think from what I've seen from Timo, yes, he's not the fastest guy, but physically and maybe kind of commanding what players should be positioning at, I think that's where he's better equipped at. And I think that's what's maybe where Josh Ryu was seeing him, because he maybe does not have the technical part of it. He still had the speed to kind of cover some of those spaces. And now what I'm thinking maybe is that's where Falou and Timo, where, it'll be one cover for the other. And now they have the aerial space as well covered at the same time. Yes, Timo is not the fastest, but the Musa that you were mentioning, right? Those guys are like tall, fast, dribbling players. So typically that's where maybe Falou will be more of the pick for those guys, and then have Timo drop a little bit more. I think that's my thought when it comes to those two center backs, right? You need one that's a little bit more, I will say, a lot faster, and then the other one is like the general that direct where the other three defenders position themselves, like a old school sweeper, I guess we'll call him.
Well, I will say a few things, Jeremy. You were saying if you are being too harsh with Timo. No, I say no. Okay. I think you're being very soft. If this was another name, and we all know what name it is, they will be trashing him. But because it's Timo, I don't know, because he's German, because he's whatever, because he's white, because whatever it is, whatever the reason is. But they're not attacking Timo for making mistakes game after game. With his experience, they're costing games. It cost last game in Dallas. It cost a game this against Minnesota. Because you're saying the other thing is that he could have done something better on that play. That is Durkin's fault. What about not going for the same ball that Durkin's going for?
Yeah,
because they both went.
Yes.
They both went for it.
Right,
but that's the problem of communication. That's the problem. Like, you're changing the center backs mid-game, and you don't have that communication sync. So they both went to the same ball. Timo was nowhere to be around on that ball. He should be behind covering Durkin going up for that ball. Now that he went, Durkin misplaced the ball, get behind both center backs, and he's forced to do that. So if this was another player or two or three different players, because now the new favorite name to blame is Orozco. So if these were those players, and it seems to be, and sorry, I'm gonna get in this topic, but that's kind of be like my hot take, if you want to call it. If it's because it's a minority player, that is, minorities are the ones that are being attacked, where we are a shitty fan base. Because I don't see anybody attacking the Germans missing the goals. I don't see anybody attacking the ones that they're not running. But the moment is like 3 guys that they're minorities in this squad made a mistake, they all go at them, and I'm fed up with that.
Well, I guess you took that from me, but yeah, I think I was waiting to see, I think, a lot more of the criticism for that game. I was surprised that people were criticizing Orozco for like the handball or anything like that. I'm like, welcome to the world of a center back, right? You're most likely, who knows what a handball is, anyways? Because from what we saw from the game, the only time that we knew that it was a handball is because the Minnesota guys held the ball and were telling the referee, to kind of VAR action, right? So they actually continued the play until it stopped. And Oscar, I watch a lot of the social media and all the crazy stuff. There's a lot of blaming that comes into play now these days. I welcome to the world of soccer. That's mistakes will be made. But the way I see it, especially, is that, you know what, it's a whole team error. Because it takes multiple actions before it gets to that handball. It takes multiple actions to get to Chris Durkin's one-on-one error and PKs and red card, right? Because it took a few guys from the top to make the mistakes for it to happen. So maybe it's just people online that are like to blame players. Because I saw names that were not even on the starting 11. Wait, he was not even on the bench, and his name showed. Both of their names showed up.
Yeah,
even though they were not on the bench. But it's like, this person sucks.
He showed up
like,
in this chat already.
Yeah. So I understand how people can be frustrated of some players' performance on the field, right? But one thing I always said, and I will always keep saying, is that when you have your 4th or 5th string player, yes, they tend to make mistakes because they are your 4th and 5th string players. And now the biggest question is, why is your 3rd, 4th, and 5th string players are all healthy and our big bucks players aren't? I think they all follow the same regiments.
Why are those players the ones that they're forced to do the big plays, and why they have to be compromised in the big situations where the other ones are not?
And Grealish did mention that on the presser, I think today, when people were asking him about Durkin's error, he was like, he mentioned, the error, but there's multiple guys up front that made errors that led to have that ball be in the final third, forcing him to make that decision. And let's not forget, what do we enjoy about Durkin the most? He's like the greedy player, right? He's in the midfield. That's what he typically does. And he will get that professional yellow card. It just happened that if that foul was in the midfield, right in the center, it would have been a yellow card.
So,
and then that's it.
No. So to your point, just so I went back and watched that goal like 3 different times, trying to figure out exactly how it all came about, right? So Minnesota has the ball on the left. Betcher steps up to press. That's when Critchley said post game that one of the forwards made the misread and went to press too soon. That's what started this. He's 100% right. So Betcher steps up to press the defender. I think it was Boxall. Boxall then gets it around Betcher to a midfielder. I don't know which midfielder it was, but to one of their midfielders on the left. He plays that long ball over the city midfield to Yeboah, who flips it up, somehow touches it up over Durkin, and then beats Durkin to the ball after getting it, and then is taken down in a denial of goal scoring opportunity. So I guess for as much as we hear, oh, I drill these guys, we practice it, I preach it. Why is there such a disconnect in what we've supposedly trained into these guys for a week and these small moments? And I'm not going to say tiredness, because yes, it was hot, but Betcher had only been on the field the same amount of time as Durkin for 10 minutes. And he's making the mistake that leads to that transition, that moment that ends up getting Durkin sent off.
Tiredness should be taken out of the thing, because all the players were on the field together.
Yeah.
They all played, right? We were all there. It was hot. Yes. It was humid. Yes. Is it the first time any of these players have played in hot, humid temperatures? No. I think that one takes away, and I think the question is, and you mentioned, right, Betcher got manhandled, because especially on the second half where I was sitting, in the section 141, you could see all of those actions, those shoulder checks and all that. In the 1v1 that he had also, he got manhandled. And I think that's where I was mentioning, like, if it was a Klaus 1v1, that probably would have been a different story, because it would have been a little bit more of a battle for those balls. So I think it's like almost all across the symptom of a few mistakes happening up top is now causing the defense to make decisions that maybe not everybody love to see. And that's why a lot of I think it's all season long, everybody's playing our defense for every single loss. But you don't hear from the midfield, and you don't hear from the lack of goal scoring opportunity, shots, or whatever you want to call it. Because if your offense keeps the ball for a lot longer, you don't have those chances taken on you. Your goalkeeper and defenders are supposed to defend 3 or 4 times, maybe 10 times tops for the whole 90 minutes. But for the second half, weren't they on our half for majority of the game, except for a few long balls that was on their half? You just let people knock at your door. They will go through it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that's absolutely crazy to me, Oscar, you mentioned this a little bit ago, like, outside of the penalties, our defense hardly allowed anything. Even when we were down to 10, they didn't really get anything outside of the penalty. They had, what did they have? 0.10 goal expected goals from open play. They had 0.19 from set piece play in the second half. So, like, it's a very, when you hear that, it's an extremely weird and frustrating result, because on the whole, your defense didn't allow a whole hell of a lot. I mean, Berkey wasn't really tested or called in to make a big save in this game. They had 0.13 expected goals from open play the entire game.
Yeah. But it becomes to a point of the details. The little details are the ones that matter. And, like, our team doesn't take care of those details for 90 minutes. And we don't take advantage of the little mistakes that the defense in the other half they make. We don't force those mistakes. So, like, Klaus does so much to a certain point, but then I think someone was saying on the chat, but then he runs out of gas, right? So Dubois, for example, like, he forced that mistake on Durkin. He forced it.
Yeah.
I think Musa did the same thing in Dallas. Like, he forced a mistake from the back line. It's something that we don't do enough. Klaus has to get out of position too often. We still don't have that full balance on the attacking side. But it was in general lines, it was a good game from the team. If you want to be 0-0, right? And you take those little things that make games change, and they always go against us. because of mistakes of young players or mistakes of experienced players or or a great goal from someone that scores on us. Like it just takes those little extra things that I don't think this team has it. Doesn't have a game changer player and then in the front. I'm gonna insist, like this is the unfair part of soccer. The ones that they get blame on, they're always the defenders. Because the problem is if they made a mistake, it's almost secure that you got to get score on.
Yep.
If the goalkeeper makes a mistake, obviously it's going to be a goal. But then the defenders made a mistake, it's almost certain that it's going to be an issue, a PK, a problem, a goal. If a midfielder makes a mistake, you now have a back line to save you, and then a goalie to save you. And if we keep moving up, then our attacking mids and our forwards, if they made a mistake, it doesn't really matter. Nobody takes attention of those mistakes because you have the midfield, you have the back line, and then you have the goalie. So this is the unfair part, because if you tell me that Celio, Hartel, Teuscher, Betcher, and so on have not made mistakes this season, I will laugh at your face and say, yes, they have. They have made probably 10 times more mistakes than any player on the back. But what happens? Nobody pays attention to those because nothing happened on their mistakes. How many times Hartel has flicked the ball trying to be fancy and gives it away in a cheap ball? I lost count already. How many times, let's say, Silva made the wrong decision to pass it to the next player and just the ball comes back but nothing happens? Celio, same thing. Celio is not the most accurate player. He likes to take people on, but he's not the most accurate player on the ball. He makes mistakes, but what happens with his mistakes? There's 8 more players that they can recover the ball.
True. And that's what we always talked about, right? When everybody, and I understand why, but you see, everybody sees only the end product. And when you go online, they show you the highlight. And how does the highlight start? With the last offensive player with the ball, and when the ball goes in the net.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see nothing else there. And as us normal people will react to that simple action, right? Would you imagine if we had all of those leads that we've had, right? And maybe the offense keeps the ball a little bit longer. If they add another goal, guess what? Your defense is now gaining more confidence because they know that they have to keep that lead. Or if your center backs has the most passes, the most completed passes, they're the one expecting to open the game. They're the one prevent guys to score. They are bound to make mistakes, and it will happen. That's why people screams when you have more possessions.
You know what? I want to ask you guys a question then. So, because I think it ties into this. So we talked about our issues with the Durkin sub coming into the back line, right?
Yes.
Do we have any issue with, instead of it being Silva for Songbin or Betcher for Klaus, instead of putting Teukert up top and Betcher out of position on the right? Like, are those subs that we have a problem with, or are we okay with those subs? Because if we want to be fair, let's analyze those. I will tell you personally, I don't want Betcher on the right wing. I want Betcher up top. Teukert needs to ride the pine for a little bit. I'm sorry, he's out of form. And I want to, you know what? What did you pay? What was it, $600,000 in GAM or whatever it was for Silva? Whether he's going to be part of the equation long term or not, play the guy, give him a run out. He can't be any worse than any of the other crap we've thrown out on the right wing, other than, before Songbin came to town.
I probably people won't like it, but Tuchel is not the player that we saw from last year when he came in. Just seeing the presence, I don't know if it's his confidence or something, but something is off because you see him on the field, you don't get that. I'm gonna get that goal today. Like we saw it from other players that wanted to score. I don't know. Maybe he might need to sit out a little bit and see what he's cooking. But we reached to a point where we're paying Silva quite a lot of money to sitting on the bench. If you want to move him, guess what? Give him those minutes to see what he can show the rest of the league of what he's capable of. So maybe someone else will pick him up. But sitting on the bench is not going to help whatsoever. And just add another offensive threat. Even if he's not going to do everything you guys want him to or play defense, just let him run at people. What do we have to lose now? He's a better dribbler than Betcher.
100%. And just real quick, I do want to correct myself. His salary is almost 600,000, but we only paid 100,000 in 2025 GAM and up to another 150 in next year's GAM. So I was way off in my GAM statement. So just to make sure we're factually correct on that, I still say Silva should play.
My take on those subs is, why did you take Sambing out? He seemed full. He seemed full of energy. He was still running, pressing. He was hungry with Minnesota.
He said he wanted to score on them.
He wanted to score. You can see it that he wanted to run at them and push him and press him around. Why? Just for the sake of putting Betcher in? Just for the sake of later put Teucher in? Those are my issues right now. There's 3 players that they play no matter what, even if they play a lot or not, but they have to be on the field just because they're them.
The only logic I can find behind it, and I don't like this excuse because we've been talking about this F word all year long, fitness. The last time Song Bin had appeared in a game for Minnesota was June 28th. He only played 22 minutes. He had not played more than 22 minutes in any of his last 5 appearances dating back to middle of June. So maybe he needs to be worked up to being able to play a full game. Obviously we'll take heat out of it. That's fine. But I really wonder if that's the only reason I could see why.
Who was that? Teucher?
Song Bin.
Oh, Sambin.
Yeah. And his last, last 5 of his go ahead.
So then, I mean, he hasn't played for a long time, but he practiced and practiced and practiced. You think he's not ready? Like, come on. Like, he's a player. He hasn't been hurt like half of our freaking squad, and you still don't give him a full time just because what? It's ridiculous. He was having a decent game. He was opening the game on the right. And if you see the instantly that he was out and Betcher was in, how the game got so narrow on our end.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about it in the preview after Dallas, and we were saying like I think Sam Bain is gonna bring a lot of wide opening, the width in the game in the field, and you could see it in the first half. You could see it and the speed on the long balls and anything, and then you just change it for just putting someone in. I just don't agree with those. And my other thing, like for me, for Teucher, he shouldn't even be in the bench. He needs to be left out of 2 games, 3 games, whatever it is. Just like if he's something mental, let him reset. If he has issues with something, because he doesn't fit with the coach, he doesn't fit, whatever reason is, because he's definitely not the same player. But he's not going to change if you put him every game at least 20 minutes. Because he's like, well, I'm playing, I'm getting paid. Who cares? I'm not going to change anything. Also because this season's over, so nobody cares about anything. We saw it on the faces of the players that took actually the time to go around, because not all the team went around the field this time at the end of the game, is that they didn't care. There was a couple of them that you can tell that they're hurt of what happening. Others, they're just walking like, yeah, yeah. I'm getting paid. Who cares? They don't care about the team. They don't care about what's happening anymore.
That's a rough one. I think for me it's, and I'm no longer in soccer shape, right? I'm still
Sorry,
confused. But I'm still a little bit confused on, are the changes being made because of tiredness and they're being moved for that reason? But if that's the tiredness, and yes, I know people talk about, we have CD2 players that have full engines that probably will be willing to put a full 90 if they have to. Was never in shape. And before we continue, big shout out to Tom Soccer Zombie. We have a superstar of the world of soccer in here, so we have to make some time for Tom himself. And
Hey,
Chris
Chris.
Gerhard too, man. What did we do today? Either we're in trouble.
We call them the heavy hitters. They're in the chat. We have to have moderators. Okay, it's getting out of control. We don't know what we're talking about. We need some folks with sense in here. But no, Chris is
bring up
100%
what
right,
Chris. Yes,
because that's how he got his goals last year. It was always the rebound or the second chance opportunities after Klaus or someone else had that first crack at it, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I think even going into I don't know if we knew what Olaf was going to be or what he was going to do, but I think that was what a lot of people, when we saw Critchley was going back to the 4-2-3-1, we were hopeful that we would see Toykert in kind of that underlying role. If you remember last year, if memory serves, when Hackworth was the boss, he was playing Hartle on the left, and Toykert was kind of a second striker just underneath Klaus in kind of the same setup.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then maybe he should be probably starting from on the bench if push comes to shove, and then if Klaus maybe has to come out, then like, okay, so maybe then have Tucker kind of shift back and have Betcher playing up top. So be it. So at least he knows that he's not expecting to do a lot more of the offensive play until he's asked to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So are we asking him to do too much? So we're now taking him away from his comfort zone, because that's what will happen, right? For a lot of players, if he's been doing something and it's very successful his entire career, and then switches to a new country, new team, and then says, no, forget what you've been doing and you've been successful at. This is what we need you to do.
Yeah, but the issue is then when he had the chances, he has missed them.
Yeah, and that's where the confidence, right? That's where the confidence then comes into play and then messes up with his play. Because you see when he's missing shots, right? He has kind of the laugh looking
the big
away.
Frustration. Yeah.
So we all have been there, right? You have that shot, like, God damn it, I should have made that. And that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting from that. And it's almost to a point where maybe Klaus might be the one that's like bullying the defense, and then just let Tuchel just wait. Don't try to create any offense. Just do what you do best, is just wait and have an easy tap in. I'll probably guarantee you, if he gets an easy tap in within the next game or so, I'm sure it's probably be a different player. It's just like Klaus. Klaus started to score, and then now he's got a little bit more of that confidence coming back. But yeah, maybe he needs to ride that bench for a game or two to, let him know
I have a question.
Maybe.
Why the team doesn't ask, or the club doesn't ask the same person that was the head coach last year, that he was taking advantage of Hartel, Toysher, and Betcher so much. Is he really far from the club?
No, he just destroyed Minnesota too.
He's got City 2 on a 10 game
bingo.
unbeaten run.
We have the person that used them correctly. We have the person that knew how to take advantage of all their qualities in 12 games, 14 games, whatever it was, that they really had fun scoring goals and created chances. And now we have no idea how to make them do that. When the guy is right there, is next door.
Well, I do know they do have conversations. I think the club always say that, they have that collaborative type of discussion. But I think that why City and all that were playing so well last year is that they were almost giving the, excuse my French, but carte blanche that says, we know what you're capable of. Just go.
So I want to give you a few numbers here, or at least a number. Over the last 4 games, City has had no fewer than 9 shots in the box. So I'm not willing to say that we're not creating the chances. It's that the chances we create, we aren't getting the second opportunity in those moments. The last 4 games against Minnesota, 9 shots in the box. Dallas, 9 shots in the box. The win against Portland, 11 shots in the box. RSL, 11 shots in the box. The last 4 games, you could argue we've created opportunities. They either just don't end up on goal or we don't get the second chances. I mean, the problem in this game was we had 9 shots in the box, only 3 total shots on target. Against Dallas, 2. So we're just not getting the ball on frame when we create those dangerous moments.
You want to know why on those? Because I think
Why is that?
From what I'm seeing is that they almost try to be too perfect. Because you see a lot of those poacher-like goals that happens is when a player is really attempting to take a shot that he's not. I guess like you guys have your HD and all that stats, right? For those shots that you're not expected the player to take, and then the goalkeeper has to punch the ball or has to push it instead of grabbing it, and then that's when you get those easy tap-ins and opportunities. But if you keep trying to pass the ball 10 million times and then you try to put it in the outside, coming back inside, or you're always trying to look for the final pass, you're never going to get those shots. I think that's how you get crazy handballs inside the box that went against us, is because if you don't take that shot, you don't get a handball call in your favor.
Well, and again, just to throw out a couple numbers at you, when you talk about goals versus, I'm going to use specifically non-penalty expected goals, taking the penalty kicks out of it, we are 6 goals to the negative. So we should have had 6 more goals than we've scored this year. And honestly, I hate to do this, but I'm going to be as blunt and honest as I can because I don't want to be an apologist here. The guy you got to look at that is very easily Simon Betcher. Simon Betcher is right up there with Klaus. He's got 6.5 expected goals according to FB Ref, and he's only scored what twice this year, maybe. Looking now, but I mean that's where and I hate to do it, but it's the truth. Yeah, he's got 2 goals in 24 games. So let's just say 4.5 of the non-penalty expected goals that we should have of that deficit of 6.5 or whatever it is belong to Simon Betcher.
And the other half probably to Toysher.
I think Toykert's actually about even. No, actually, I think Toykert's at 0.7. So he should have roughly one more goal than he does. So between those two, that's what I say? Yeah, I mean, that's 4.5 plus 7. So 5 of the 6.5 goals are those 2 guys.
And they're the one that's not having the greatest season.
No. Right. Klaus is
I
right.
mean,
Klaus is right on target.
It's just rough to look where we played 24 games And our highest scorer is Klaus with 7.
And he had a hat trick on one of those.
And he had a hat trick, so he had 4 goals in 23 games. And then a hat trick, basically. And then you have your playmaker, and the one that is supposed to be helping out has 3 assists in 24 games.
Yeah,
you got to get more.
I think he takes too much corners. For me, I think Hartel shouldn't be the one taking the corners.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
He doesn't connect them.
And not even just that. Also, is that he, since he's a little bit more of that playmaker as well. I don't think having him having the corners on both sides of the corner does not do well for me. And as you can see, even in those corners, there's not much battles for that ball. Most of them is the other defender.
We're still on the same
team
page.
that clears it. Like,
go ahead.
I want to see the ref, blow his whistle, telling people that get off of each other. We don't hear that often. It's just there's a corner, it takes out, it gets cleared, and then now you have to be in defense. There's not, that.
There's always 3 headers, headers every time.
So there's a comment in the chat real quick. Can you pull up Ryan's comment again real quick? The most recent one about Betcher, Ryan. So, and I ask you to do that because Ryan, I get what you're saying, but 2 things. I don't give a damn that he went to SLU. I'm sorry. I don't care where you go to college. I don't care if you're a local boy like Miggy, and I don't give a rat's ass about your transfer fee. You can cost $1 or you can cost over 3. I care about your output. You need to perform up to expectations. If you get in the positions to score the goal and score the goal and put the ball in the net, you better do your damn job. I'm sorry, though. I understand that. I love the passion for SLU. I love that St. Louisans have that local pride, but I could give a rat's ass about it because I want results and I want wins and I want goals. There's my hot take.
I 100% agree. Like it just, I'm not gonna get that excited like Jeremy did, but yes, it's to the point like you shouldn't care about the name, about the price, about the promise that they did, that whatever is. No, you come here to do a job. One is to stay healthy, because that's your priority. You stay healthy so you can play games. And then when you play the games, you give your best. You made mistakes. Sure, it's soccer. You're human. All that. But give your best. Show your passion for the game.
Birthday,
show that you're wanting to win. Other than that, like, it doesn't matter where you come from.
So, but he only went to SLU for college, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, so it's
he's from Kansas, right? I think.
Yes, he is from. I think he's from Topeka.
Yeah,
Kansas.
They're from Kansas.
Yes, so I think that kind of takes a little bit off of it, right? Nah, but
it's just like everybody's so passionate about, like, because the SLU gets a good program and everything, and then do you have to give him a slack or something? It's like, no, like it's like any other college in US, or they come from any other academy. You have to treat them the same way. If you perform, you perform. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, maybe the St. Louis Pride will kind of force them a little bit more of performance, because I think there's that one expression where, for those that have played, that says you have to sweat for the badge. And when you are not doing so well in the season, you reach a point where maybe we need to see a little bit more of that angry players, right? Yes, the fans are not happy. We all know their fans are not happy, but now we got to see that on the field too. That's why I was celebrating when I saw Berkey, when Jabot went and scored that at the PK, and then he went and celebrated in front of the supporter, and then Berkey himself ran to him and told him to cut it out. I wanted to see more players do that because he had a few minutes to do it. I can tell you, when I grew up in France, you go and do that in front of the fans on the supporter section of all, and you're there for a few seconds, it would not have ended well for you. It would not have been just your goalkeeper, because your goalkeepers usually are the more subdued. It would have been one of your center backs that would have ran towards you and make sure that you don't do it again. That's kind of the thing that we wanted to see, or I wanted to see for the rest of the game. And towards the end of the game, Berkey was trying to score a freaking goal himself. It almost felt like out of the rest of the guys that were on the field, Berkey was probably the only one that wanted to get that goal back. And I know some people saying he chips a lot on players and others, but do we know any other players that actually has done that yet?
I mean, there were a couple at the beginning. There were a couple in our, I would say the one that I would call the worst loss of the season, that it was in Kansas City.
Right.
There was two that they did that. They did it very late, obviously, because it was at the end of the game after the final whistle. But since then, I haven't seen it until now with Berkey. But the issue, there's two issues there. The first one was that I remember after the Kansas City game that a lot of fans, they were criticizing their behavior, saying why they do that. They should just be showing more passion in the game and not going fighting to the other player, whatever. So. Okay. I don't agree with that, obviously, because they were mocking us. Davies was mocking us, and that moment Teucher and Klaus came and tried to, well, basically make him stop that. But since then, he hasn't been anything. And I don't know, because people criticize it, and then like the team was like, oh, let's not do that. Let's not be like that. Or they just don't have it in them. Because, I mean, Berkey has done that before, and he knows like he makes himself be respected. And other than like, obviously he did it because they were mocking the fans, but at the same time it's because he was pissed off. And it's like, you're not doing that in front of my face.
Yeah, hey, that's a good, and as it should be, right? He did that for a few seconds. I saw it when I was watching. I was like, is anyone going to do anything about this?
Yeah, I mean, he just stood there because, I mean, the team came and did the group celebration. Then he drops down to his knees, does his point to the sky thing, gets back up, gets more high fives, and then does the cup his ear thing, and just stood there. And then that's when Berkey lost it.
I mean, he did it in the first goal too, and nobody went and faced him.
Yeah.
Well, but the difference was
the first one was like, the other one was like he scored and he silenced, he silenced the supporter section. But the other one is like, you did your celebration, your team already came, and then you're standing there and you're doing this and no one. Yeah, I mean, that's where you start to see yellow cards flying.
That's what I was hoping for.
Because every player was like this.
Yeah. But guess what? The game is not 4-0. It's not 4-1. It's not 4-2. It's 2-1. And it's PKs that we got.
Yeah.
Like, show something, because the fans, as you know, right? You lost the 2-1, right? I can guarantee you, if there was something that showed that the players, there was something that happened in there, that one discussion would have been, did you see what happens when he celebrated in front of the supporter section? Everybody showed some heart.
Yeah.
Those are the conversation that you get in the locker room. You get outside, and sometimes it kind of takes a little bit of that noise of that performance, because it was 3 PKs. So it's not like they got beat on the open play.
No. It
was
wasn't a
PK.
banger. It wasn't a
No.
world. Yeah, it wasn't a worldie. That's what blew my mind is like they were celebrating like they had this amazing sequence of play and it was a banger. I get it's a winner. It's near the final whistle or going into stoppage time. I get it's a potential game-winning goal. But man, the celebration, it pissed me off. I'm glad Berkey did what he did. But
that's the difference though, right? You scored a PK, right?
mhm.
They know it's just a PK, but the fact that you're celebrating it, that kind of boosts your team up. That
Yep.
says, "Hey, we came from behind. Hey, we did this." It's more the semantic of what the goal meant versus what they scored on. That's where we like to see all those, and I think that's what I'm kind of missing on that part is that if the season, pretty much the season it's over with, right? And Lutz kind of mentioned it
10 games ago.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
And Lutz kind of mentioned it as well, right? If they're saying that players don't care now because they know the season is over, or they cannot wait to leave, or etc., right? You're still playing for yourself. You're still playing for a potential contract extension, or you're telling the other teams in the league that what is happening in this season is not totally based on your performance. So it's a lose-lose situation for everybody if you're not performing. And I'm waiting to see that one person that will take the team by the, excuse my French, the balls and says, we might have a bad season, but I'm not going to let it mess with my stats. I'm not going to let it mess with my bonuses or something like that, at least, right? Because typically you see one, two players maybe that will step up during a bad season to show their talent. But at this moment, it's like 11 players kind of going downward. That's how I see it.
Can I, gentlemen? I have a question because this has also been a
Man,
topic on
you're
social
full
media.
of questions today, my friend.
I am. Look at it's the journalist in me. I've got to ask the people's questions. Okay. No. There's been
At
some
least
criticism.
Jeremy has good questions, not like others.
Ooh,
Hey, better. Hey, look. I've got better questions. Look, better questions than I do in scarves and kits. But anyway, I digress, boys. Berkey on both penalties didn't dive. Kind of got caught flat-footed, not sure where to go. Any criticism of the keeper for the, I don't know, perceived lack of effort by some keyboard warriors?
I mean, the second one looked bad. The second one looked like he guessed the right side, but I don't know why he was not convinced to dive. Because I think if he dives, he saves that one.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, I think it was a good kick, and I think he actually dove to that side, just like he dove late. But the second one was definitely, it looked bad. I'm not saying he didn't want to save it, and it looked bad because of his lack of confidence on PKs. Because he hasn't saved a PK in 8 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, when we get PKs, you're not gonna say like, okay, Berkey has a chance. He's not a PK stopper. It is what it is. It looked bad. I'd say I wouldn't put more into it.
Yeah, maybe we should have the staff maybe do a little bit more research on the PK takers, and then when it happens, just slip him a note. Say, hey, most likely he's going to go that way. And fortunately, PKs is, unfortunately, it's not made for the goalkeeper, especially these days, because you let him do 15,000 steps and stutters, and so it does not help the goalkeeper. But when you pick a side and you don't change.
Yeah, so here's my thing. So I thought, and this is the whole other discussion, but like the rule is like you can't stop your forward momentum. So when you are the taker and you stop your feet, if your body is still moving forward, that counts as forward momentum. I don't love it. I can't stand it. Just come up and strike the damn ball. Like, we don't need this nonsense. But in any event, I think for me, just dive. I think it just, like you said, Oscar, it looks bad. I guess, I don't know, like you said, if he couldn't read it, but I guess to me, I'd rather at least the perception be he went all out to try to save it than what most fans are probably thinking is, oh, he didn't move, so he didn't even try. That's probably why I think there's this debate.
Yeah, I think usually it's just that they try to make yourself as big as possible and make sure that you're at the limb from the other side where the striker made. Maybe you put a hand somewhere. But yes, Chris is trying to start trouble here. Say maybe Ben Luth starting on Thursday? Oh, Wednesday?
So, Chris,
Well,
we'll
maybe
get to
lunch
that.
starting on Thursday. I don't know what they're playing on Thursday, but
We're playing Thursday?
He's giving.
no,
Chris
I'm just
trouble.
giving
Wednesday.
I'm just
There you
giving-
go.
Well,
I'm just giving Chris
but
a little hard.
I wouldn't be surprised. Look, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I don't know if we want to wrap up and then pivot to the Villa talk and what that's going to look like, and wrap up
Just
with a
finish
short
it off.
talk about Villa. But no, I mean, guys, anything else from the City game? I mean, a 2-1 final. I will throw out a couple other real quick stats at you that are absolutely ugly. So this is the 18th point City has lost from a leading position. The 10th point we've lost from a leading position at home. That's a problem, to say the least.
Yep.
So that's the first bit of numbers. And the last number, for those who are actually, for some delusional reason, thinking that we have a snowball's chance in hell at making the postseason, we have 10 games left. There are 2 pathways to the 45-point golden line. It's 9-1-0, so that's 9 wins, 1 draw, and 0 losses, or 9 wins, 0 draws, and a loss. Get us right to 45. Anything less than that, the best we can do is 44. If you think we're even sniffing that, I want whatever you're taking. But because we're not. But I just want to avoid the wooden spoon, which, oh, by the way, we have a 2-point advantage on LA Galaxy. Their game against Houston Dynamo got postponed due to rain in Houston. So we are tied with Montreal for basically 28th in the Supporter Shield standings at 18 points, and Galaxy just 2 points back at 16 on the season.
So just flip it. So LA is first on the wooden spoon. We're tied in second.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Man, look at that. So is Oscar really actually being positive for a second and trying to look the
I
brighter
want to
side of
be.
things?
If you're gonna be at something, let's just be first at least.
You want a trophy? You want the wooden?
He wants a trophy so bad. He will take. You know what, Oscar? We will get you a trophy, just not this.
No, I don't. I do
Oscar's
not
been out in
want-
the sun too long.
I do not want the wooden spoon, but it just seems like we're heading that way. I think LA is gonna definitely pull more points than us, so it's either gonna be Montreal or us.
Enrique Push, I think that he was added to the League's Cup roster.
He's back.
So that puts a little question there. So I
So-
guess that will determine on
All right.
how, if he plays during the League's Cup, and then that's probably will determine how much of trouble we are. But his legs look very skinny still, so
Yeah.
I don't know. how that goes.
So Oscar, if you think it's us or Montreal, ladies and gentlemen at home, circle your calendars. September 13th, we play on the road at Montreal. The former
The
Impact,
wooden
now CF
spoon
Montreal.
challenge.
That's what that game is going to be. The Galaxy fans, like my buddy Edgar Zaniga from News Across the Galaxy, they'll be sitting at home with popcorn, rooting for whoever, as we're part of the Wooden Spoon Collective, but that they've coined. But yeah, that game, September 13th, could very well decide the Wooden Spoon race. After that, we've got an away trip to San Jose. We're home to LAFC, away to Austin, and then we end the year against RSL on my birthday, the 18th, which, God, please, God, on my birthday, do not have us win the Wooden Spoon. That's all I'm asking.
I'll bring a cake. Shape of a wooden spoon just for you.
Oh man, the teams you just named, that does not sound good.
No, we've
Well,
got so
yeah, like if you look at the calendar, we have Nashville
Yep.
that is doing very well.
Mhm.
Chicago away, Vancouver away,
Who are signing Thomas
Houston
Mueller
here.
apparently.
Yeah.
Dallas here,
Mm.
then Montreal over there, San Jose away, LA here, Austin away, and RSL.
I think
So
if we get 2 games, if we win 2 games,
do
I'll
we
be
have
happy.
do we have more than 3 wins in those games? I don't see them.
I'm looking at maybe 2 or 3 at the most.
I
I just
mean, I
don't.
think
On a
I'd
good
see
day.
maybe 2. I see Houston
So-
and Dallas maybe.
you and I get out of my head. Same. Those are the 2 that are the most winnable. Depending on what's going on, maybe Austin because they've lost some of their big attacking signings to season-ending injuries.
Yep.
And
But
San
it's in
Jose.
Austin.
It is. And I think we could beat Montreal. So hold on. So if we say Houston, Dallas, Montreal, there's 3. I think we can beat Montreal.
I think didn't Montreal beat Inter Miami over there?
Yeah, but
playing at
that was
home?
without. Was that the game they didn't have Messi? No, that was this weekend. They didn't have Messi or Alba. Who has?
No,
Montreal
I'm wrong. They
beaten?
lost. They lost badly. I'm just
Oh.
lying.
Oh well, at least. But yeah,
So-
I guess we'll digress
Yeah.
on that part. So yeah, so it looks like we might get 2, maybe 3
2 or
at
3.
the most. It will be nice to have a away win. I'm telling you, if we can get one of those, I'll be happy.
The other good thing too, and I hate to say it this way, some of these teams we're playing are going to be in the League's Cup, so we might get some teams on short rest because all those games are midweek.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Remember the last few teams that were on the short thing in this weekend.
I'm trying to get people excited, Mo. Let me build some false hope, okay? Then everybody can come yell at us in the chat. It's going to be a strategy to continue to grow our listener base, okay?
Hey,
I'm
typically optimistic, but yeah, but yes, but I guess with that say, so we're 2-1 loss Minnesota. I think there's a lot of still question marks, and I think just to close it out, we did see that there was quite a few players that were not even in the roster at all. So that then adds a little bit more of questions on what Lutzen team have in plan for the transfer window, and if there's more coming, we don't know. But with that said, that's how we're gonna close out for this review of this game. So now we can talk friendly games because of League's Cup. And Aston Villa is coming to town. Of course, I have to miss it. But Jeremy made sure to let me know that he will be at the game. So, Jeremy, just give us what you got.
So no, we had the pre-match presser today with Coach Critchley. A couple big takeaways for me were that he did mention that they are going to have a roster of at least 22 players and probably play all 22 players. They were still working out final details of the match, but basically, so whoever it was in the chat, I forget who, but that said we could see Ben Lunt. There is, I think, a likelihood that we see Lunt in that game, at least for a little bit. Outside of that, it's an interesting look. It's an interesting kind of tale. So for those, I presume, well, I don't want to assume, gentlemen, but I'm guessing that a decent chunk of the folks that are listening to our show tonight know who Aston Villa are. But just in the off chance, they're a team from the Premier League over in England. Last year, they played a pretty strong season in the EPL, pulling up I was trying to pull up the graphic that I had made for them before the game. So this is their 2024-25 data because their season does run opposite of ours. It ended in May. They posted a 19-9-10 record, so 19 wins, 9 draws, 10 losses, total of 66 points in the Premier League. They finished in 5th, which was good enough to qualify them for the Europa League next year. So it's the second tier of the tournament over in Europe in the European Cup competitions. It's the second tier. They scored 58, allowed 51. And then in terms of how they compare to City, just directly, last year Villa was 6th in the EPL in total goals scored, tied for 11th in goals conceded, averaged the 11th most average open XG from open play, and were the 9th in PPDA on average. Compare those again, the leagues don't match up at all, but for sake of conversation, in the MLS currently after match week 24, St. Louis is 14th in goals scored. This is just in the Western Conference, by the way. Or no, it's all in the league. I'm sorry. 14th in the league in goals scored. We are tied for 7th in goals conceded. The 17th ranking for average play or average expected goals from open play. 25th in average PPDA. We've scored 24 goals. We have allowed 40 goals. So on paper, gentlemen, this is not a great matchup, but it's one where I think we're going to see a ton of different players for both sides.
Yeah,
it's gonna look like an American football game. It's like when those lineups when they're played like 30 minutes, and then you have like a full 7, 8, 7, and then the next 30 minutes another 7, 7. It's something like that. Just to mention, I think so. Aston Villa played Frankfurt not long ago in Louisville. They tied 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
They did seem to have trouble with everything that they have. Obviously, they had a little rotation in some of the players that game. Their main players played or started, except Diego Martinez, that he's been in talks or rumors about leaving the club. So I don't know if he will be the starting for Wednesday. A lot of people want to see him. Some of them for good things, some of them for bad things. But it will be this guy right here does have not a good memories of that guy. So
who
he might not be listening very nice, kind things from me. But I'll keep it allowed. I won't get in trouble, I promise.
But they do have one of the. I still keep him as like high regard for Unai Emery, one of the best coaches in world football in general, too. So if you guys get to watch him live, definitely watch like their demeanors and how he managed the game. Because yes, it is their preseason, but they also are coming to say that City is not going to beat us. This is not the Man City, right? But they still have that stigma where they want to win because they're in America and don't want to have that, hey, you lost
mockery
to American team.
Yeah.
And by the way, also the team that's at the very bottom of the league. So preseason or not, they still will be coming to win.
Yeah. I mean, they have great players people that love the game, obviously you should enjoy this game. I'm excited to see it just because it's a quality rival. You have the names of Watkins, you have Tillmans, even like you can mention Mings, Digne, Cash.
Yep. I'm excited to see Don.
I'm sad that Rashford is not in Villa anymore.
Yeah. He's at Barca
I was
now.
like, Rashford would have been cool to see him, but
Jeremy will probably be like, Rashford.
Right. Yeah. I'll wear my United kit, the whole shebang. I've got his name on the back of it.
So I guess the question is, will you be dressing as City fans, or would you be kind of neutral, or how we?
Oh, I'm a City fan. I don't care about Aston Villa.
No.
So.
Yeah, I'm.
And there's no Colombians in there either because the dummy of Duran left last year to Saudi Arabia. So and then he's already at Turkey.
He's back in Turkey.
So
Turkish, yep.
There's a couple of names. There's one name in particular that I think St. Louis might be familiar with. So Jamaica has played friendlies or has played various times. Leon Bailey plays for Aston Villa now. So that's another familiar name. I'm really going to be excited to see. I want to see Daniel Malin. The STL Borussia Dortmund group probably will remember Daniel Malin. He played for Dortmund for a bit, so that'll be nice. Amadou Onana is another name that I'm excited to see, and I would really, really like to see Emi Martinez. I think you mentioned him earlier, Oscar. I would really. I mean, I was telling people about him and what he did after he won the World
Yeah, don't
Cup.
talk. Don't.
But
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Don't.
I'll do the clean one.
Don't.
Well,
I will close this live
stream
stream if you guys keep.
do we think in any shape, way, or form Olaf Melberg makes a cameo in this at all?
No
Is there...
way.
He's not
that crazy. Come on.
I mean, he went out with Jack Grealish. Apparently, he's a little
so he ain't gonna be here. Dude's gonna get booed.
That's actually probably true.
No,
he'd get booed. That's a good point.
Could you imagine step foot in St. Louis?
Could you imagine
come out alive?
Could you imagine a really weird world where somehow they thought would think it would be a good idea to have him be the match ball delivery guy where he has to go bang the
you're
drum?
full of jokes today.
Could you imagine though?
No. And then he has to walk around all the way to the supporters.
That would be bad. That would be really, really, really bad.
No.
Although, you know what? Look, St. Louis, even if I don't know, St. Louis has been a somewhat historically forgiving group of people.
Not in
footy, not in the footy world. Okay,
I don't think anymore. Even like I was hearing something like a quote on the radio. A lot of people were criticizing the St. Louis fans right now for the lack of attendance in the Cardinal games, and that's
true.
That this town, I'm just quoting, but at the same time saying like what I heard was that this town used not to be like this. That even when the games were bad or when the teams were bad, there were still a lot of fans in the stands supporting their teams and so on such. And
oh boy,
and now like Cardinals are not getting the support, and I mean we'll probably see next year that City will not have
it's showing already
much as we
have
had. Obviously, I mean, because let's not put makeup on our attendance. We're not whatsoever a sellout on attendance. We sell out the tickets, but we definitely not have a full stadium anymore, and we hasn't been in the past 3-4 games or 5 games or maybe more. So let's just not put makeup on it.
Oh, yeah. I don't think you want to hear my take on this one.
I do.
Well, I mean, I'll let you have your take. If you don't give me your take, I'm gonna start reading critical quotes.
I will just say that as a sport fan, doesn't matter. And I understand because you spend money, you spend time, you do all of that, right? I understand it because I'm doing that as well, and then some more. But if you say you're supporting your team, it's just like family, good, bad, and ugly. Show up. It's still mental, right? When it shows, yes, people know the team's getting criticized, but it shows in the stadium. And it's not just our eyes that see it. It's the rest of the league that sees it. The rest of the world that see it. MLS Pass is global, right? We all talked about saying, oh, we have the best fans in MLS. Oh, we have the best. If you want to give yourself that title, you better show up. I follow teams. I'm a PSG Chelsea fans, right? PSG for a long time, horrible. Not 1 second. I said, you know what? I'm not gonna show up anymore. I've had season tickets for PSG. Our whole family had it for almost 35 years. We never sold our tickets. Chelsea, they were awful for quite a few years. Did I say, oh, maybe I will stop supporting them or sell my season tickets that I have not used in over 12 years? No. If you want to call yourself sports fan and you support your team, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And yes, you spend good money.
And more in the ugly.
Yeah. And then after that, I even can say even national team on top of that. We've all been there. I understand the arguments. We all do spend a lot of money for it. And we do also spend a lot of time doing extra stuff. But if
Yeah.
you want to call the best fans, you talk crap about Kansas not selling out their stadium, not filling out the stadium. When you're online, you make fun of people because their stadium does not have people.
Mhm.
But then when your team's bad in the third season, it's 3 seasons, people. Some of us have followed teams for 10, 12, 15 years, and they still suck. Jeremy, sorry to say it, but you're a Man
Well,
Bring
U
he
it.
follows
fan.
all of them.
Yeah.
I'm a dude. I'm in a world of pain.
Yeah.
No matter
and you
what
still,
continent's on.
Did you
I mean-
go and say, you know what? I'm not following Manchester United anymore. I'm not going
No.
where they're no.
No, I woke
Stick
up every
to it.
freaking week. I woke up every damn weekend and watched the games when most of the games when I could, or if they were on late in the day, I'd watch them. I'd tweet about them. No, I'm still with them. It is a season of misery, but I'm doing just like I'm doing with City. We're talking tactics, we're talking stats, we're trying to figure out what the hell this team can be, and now we're rebuilding again, and that's where
Yeah.
City will be at the end of this season.
Kayla,
I want
you're right.
I want to
about
answer
going-
Kayla on that
Yeah.
comment.
She's right.
Um,
I'm just gonna say she's right about the stadium part. But when I say supporting the team is not just the stadium, is that in general when we're in our circles where it's like everything is out, social media and all that, blah 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 blah. That's the one I'm talking about. Not just the stadium part. Is that still? And some of those comments as well. I'm gonna tell you, and we might just record it. A lot of these comments you guys make, those players see it, and that also helps that mental thing that we keep talking about.
No, I would say that even I understand like the not having money or not wanting to spend the money because of bad results and everything, but the issue is like everybody jumping on the hype of like having a team on the first year was great, and you bought your 3-year season ticket and such. But then when things start going south, then half of them they're just like, oh, I was just here for the fun. Now I'm gonna sell all the tickets, try to make some money, and I don't care about the team. Or either like, oh well, they suck, so I don't want to follow them. And that's what half of people are doing, or maybe more than half. And so I don't think it's about the money itself right now. That is the biggest issue because we had a full year of extremely sellout, and that was like extremely sellout. That probably there were people that not even with tickets and the stands, like that's how it was because everything was fun and new and we were winning. But now, two years in a row, there's bad results. Yeah, it's not as much fun. I get it because losing is not fun. But if you really were those saying, well, we are the best fans, like most say, we're the best fans in the league, we make fun of Kansas City, we blah, 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 and then you don't show up and then you're just selling your tickets, or what Aaron said, but it's hot out, then no. I mean, look, I criticize the team. I give them a lot of issues, and I bring a lot of my comments, and I have made comments on Facebook groups, and I have said things in such and such and such. But at the end of the day, I'm not missing the game, and I'm there, and I'm chanting 90 minutes. If you guys hear my voice all day, and the recording, it doesn't sound normal because I'm still hurting from Saturday. I did it, and I will do it on Wednesday, and then I will do it the next day, and whatever it is, because I love the sport, and I'm happy to have a team that I can support, but I can also push, and I can also be able to demand in our ways, because that they don't mean anything for the owners, but in our ways demand that we do better.
And I can tell you, victory tastes so much better when if you grind with your team. And I'm talking as a PSG fans, where 20 plus years wanted the Champions League. I can guarantee you the suffering, once you start winning something, there's a different feeling altogether about it.
Well, Mo, I'll
And that's
tell you,
what's
I didn't see my team in Colombia win a championship for 22 years.
and when you win something, dude, that's you feel that. And
Yeah.
that's what we all wait for. That's all we hope for. And it does not matter what trophy it is. It's just that they know that, there's that team right there. And so that's just my point on that when it comes to the supporter thing is when you put no one else, everybody laughed when a lot of people said St. Louis Soccer City and all of that. When you put yourself that title, you have to keep it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If someone else gives it to you, yes. But if you give yourself the title,
yeah.
No,
Ryan. No, sorry, you're right. You're right. You're 100% Mo. 100% on point. And Oscar both. What Ryan posted there, agree. I think we've all said it too. That first season where we overachieved, as much fun as that was, that really, I think, just led to a ton of extra frustration with where we are now. We got a taste of it. Now we expect it, not realizing, I think, just that Mo, you said this, I think, before we came on the show, but from that first team to now, how much of that initial roster was probably not as good as we thought they were. And we're still turning over some of those players.
And those that are actually doing something at this moment. But it's year 3, people.
Yeah.
I understand the frustration, and we didn't overachieve. We reached the moon in that first season. That's not
true.
Overachieve is you made the playoffs.
Okay.
We broke records. That's ridiculous things. So I think people need to kind of remove that first season euphoria, first season, and now we're in the real world of football, where hey, there's other team.
So real quick, boys, because I know we're over an hour and a half, so we're probably nearing that stoppage time whistle, right? But my question for both of you, just want to throw out a couple things, bringing it back to the Villa friendly on Wednesday for just a minute.
Oh, yes.
So we already talked about, Critchley said they're going to have a roster of 22 and everybody's going to play, so we're going to have a lot of subs. Critchley said during the press conference today that they're already focusing on Nashville. They didn't spend a lot of time analyzing Villa. He said, and I'm going to throw a couple of particular quotes, but he said, quote, "We will compete and we'll compete to win." But then he also said earlier in the press conference today that the approach to the game isn't to win. We want to compete, we want to perform, but quote, to win the game is not the end outcome. We want to perform and compete. We want to put on a good product for the field on the field for the fans, but to keep the squad in shape and sharp. But the point is to entertain. If we can get 3 points out of it, great. But the result is not the driving factor for us. Do you take as much of an issue with that approach to this international friendly as I do? Or am I just being too much of a high expectation? I want wins. I don't care who we play. Like, being realistic of who we're playing compared to where we are in our quality. But should the result should you not want to still win?
Oscar, I'll let you.
I think he's being real. I think he's trying to keep his feet in the ground and say there's a very low chance that we will beat Aston Villa for the difference of quality that both squads have, especially because everybody's going to be doing many subs, and we know that our depth of players, especially if you're talking about 22 players, it's not going to equal what Aston Villa has for 22 players, because they're probably going to put the same amount of players too. So he's just trying to minimize the backlash on a bad result, knowing that it's a game that doesn't matter. But I also hear your point, and I kind of like, it will feel nice to win something for once. I mean, we have what we said. We have 3 wins in 24 games or 4 wins in 24 games, whatever we are right now.
4.
It has been such a long year with bad results that, I mean, it would be nice to get go to the stadium and feel happy when you leave because your team actually won and you can celebrate. But I think it's just minimizing what is going to happen on Wednesday.
That's fair.
I think for me, it's one of those. It's a pickup game. Win that game, that probably be a confidence boost for the team, and also knowing that Falufal also will have minutes, so that will also be a precursor of knowing how match fit he is. So I think for the fans themselves, you have Aston Villa coming to your town, which not many cities or teams can say they were able to get that. You saw, I think DC United is getting the national team of Ethiopia, I think that's getting. So Aston Villa is not a small team that's coming to town. And what it does is open the door for the rest of the world in Europe to say, hey, look at cities, Energizer Park looks nice. Leverkusen was here. Now we have Aston Villa. That just opens the door, hopefully brings new fans to the stadium. You get that?
No, with those prizes.
Well, hopefully some of those will change. That tickets price, I think there's always a way to do things differently. But I think for me, it's a confidence boost if they can make it happen, or at least a good performance. If it's 3-0, that was a wash and that was a waste of time. But if it was a 1, at least we see a goal from each side and a good performance to kind of give a little bit of that boost. I don't see it. And it's better than just having these guys watch it at home, watch the Leafs Cup at home and practice and then do internal games themselves.
No, I mean, it's good to have a friendly. It's good for, again, sharpness. Might even be good to get some of the mentality stuff sorted in a way. I mean, it's a quality side coming in, but maybe it's a chance for Toykert to find a goal and do something. But as you mentioned, Mo, Falufal, going to be there. He's going to play. Critchley said today during the presser, he's match fit. He landed. He wondered when his medicals today. If I had to be a betting man, you're probably going to see the app updated tomorrow with pictures. They've got to do a big media thing for him because he's the second highest transfer fee in club history. You would expect them to do it right in that manner. If they did it for Hartle, and he was a free, you best do it for Falu here. But I'm excited to see what he can do. I am excited to see some of these bigger names, especially the guys like Emi Martinez, Ollie Watkins, and I'm not just saying that because they've been linked to Manchester United recently. We won't get either one of them. We're too poor at this point. But no, I'm excited. I am excited for what they're calling the Thrilla with Villa. I hope it's a Thrilla in some respect, and that I get my money's worth from an entertainment perspective. But I'm looking forward to being at the park again midweek.
Hey, shoot, Foul goes and pick number 95 on top of that, which in France, my percent where I grew up, it's 95. So I think I have to get a jersey because
all right,
I guess that's so. Yeah, so I guess they know how to get my money. But
15 was taken. That's his number.
They're definitely taking my money on the scarf. $45 for that scarf. I'm not buying that.
I did. I bought a scarf and a patch.
Look at you.
Had to. I may regret it later, but as I was telling somebody earlier on Discord, that's probably the last bit of City merch I need to buy this year because nothing else worth it.
Well, that might be the only one. But with that said, anything else you guys have special going on that you want to share with the chat?
I have nothing really special for us. I mean, I know Charlie wasn't here tonight. He's got City 2 talk tomorrow around 7. So watch the socials for that. He'll talk about City 2, their 10-game unbeaten streak now with a big win over Minnesota United 2 at the weekend. So it's not a me thing, but it's a top corner thing. So I want to throw a plug out there for that. But that's all I got, guys.
Oscar?
Nope. I got really nothing.
Oh, Oscar.
Nothing. I mean, I already celebrated my team, so
There you go.
Saturday we'll play the final. So
Do you know
And
who?
hopefully,
who they playing?
no, they play tomorrow. It's either Brazil or Uruguay.
Ooh, that's going to either team is going to be an interesting game.
I would say most likely will be Brazil. The female sides are good.
Marta's still scoring.
I don't think Marta's playing.
Okay, so she may have just retired from.
I
But
think she might be done, but they're good still. They're one of the top teams in the world too, but I think Colombia might be able to take the last punch. So hopefully.
all right, awesome. Well, I appreciate you all for joining another episode of Top Corner Talk, and I always appreciate having Jeremy, Oscar to talk football with us as always, and chat. Always appreciate all your comments, good, bad, ugly, but it's always because we're all family. So, City family. And with that said, enjoy the game on Wednesday. Jeremy, we won't talk because you know why. But with that said, peace out.